Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 194 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is Chief Technical Officer at OpenValue in the Netherlands. He focuses on Java, continuous delivery, and DevOps, and he is a Java champion, JavaOneRockstar speaker, and user group leader for the Dutch Java user group. He also loves to share his experiences by speaking at conferences, writing for the Dutch Java magazine, and helping out the DevOps for kids and teaching kids how to code. So welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast, Bert Jan Schrijver.
Thank you.
So Bert, can you perhaps expand on that intro and tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you came into the tech industry?
Yeah, I've worked most of my career as a software developer. I've studied computer science at the University of Twente. And I basically rolled into software development because a roommate of me started working at a company, and he told me about the company, and he asked wow, are you interested in working at the company? And I said, yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. And then half an hour later, I got an invite for the company to share my CV and start an interview. And this all came true, and that's where I started working as a software developer. So first, I worked for about 7 years at a company who was developing products internally. And later, I switched into a consulting role. And 2 years ago, I started OpenValue with the goal to build a team of amazing developers who love what they do and who share what they've learned.
Right. So in terms of what OpenValue does, you obviously do quite a lot of speaking, and your focus is very much in Java, continuous delivery and DevOps. So what do you do? How does the company work?
We do mainly software development and consulting for various clients throughout the Netherlands. So we have a team of 25 people who do projects for our clients. To give you examples, one project we do is we help a startup in Amsterdam to provide accessible healthcare in Africa. So through the software we're building there, about 2 million people in Africa have access to healthcare and can use money from health insurers to get access to healthcare. So we like to work on kind of stuff that does good for the community, but also lots of commercial companies that we have in our portfolio.
I mean, that's a great example of how technology can really make a difference to society.
Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of the DevOps for kids, how did you get involved in that?
Well, I've been speaking at conference for quite a while, and one of the bigger conference in Europe is the DevOps conference in Belgium. And actually, Stefan Janssen, so the founder of DevOps, he set up a program called DevOps for Kids, where it's a goal of teaching kids to learn how to code. And the company where I was working for at the time, JPoint, was organizing DevOps for Kids events in the Netherlands. So I started helping out there, and we did quite a couple of big events, one with the University of Amsterdam, where we had 200 kids over for a day to learn, for example, programming with Scratch or working with Lego Mindstorms or with hardware.
Brilliant. And what sort of age ranges do you have in that group?
It starts about 10 and up. So typically kids at the end of primary school or the beginning of secondary school.
Right. Excellent. Okay. So, Bert Jan, can you perhaps tell us a career tip, one that the audience may not know and perhaps should?
My main career tip is to engage in tech communities. This has really shaped my career and also myself as a person. So my advice would be go visit local meetups, go visit events, conference, learn and preferably even share what you learn. So go on stage. So looking back at my engagement for especially the NLJUG, the Dutch Java User Group, every company that I switched to in the past 10 years was a company I met through the NLJUG community by going to events. So it's a nice way of learning, meeting people, but also meeting new interesting companies. Because if a company takes time to share what they've learned at a meetup or something, then probably it's a company doing interesting things.
Yes, no, that's very true. In terms of what you've learned, obviously going to all these different conferences and hearing other people speak is a great benefit for you, but standing in front of people as well and sharing what you know presumably helps you to learn and focus what you do?
Yeah, definitely. It happens often that after a presentation, somebody approaches me and says like, yeah, I've been working on kind of the same thing. We run into this. Do you have experience with this? Or maybe the problem you mentioned, we are solving this in this way. So it also helps you getting feedback on what you did and also learn new stuff and learn new solutions.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so Bert Jan, can you share with us your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yes, I think my worst career moment was when I was working at a company that built a product for insurance companies. And we were in the final stage of a really big project, the biggest project of the company so far. And we were working on the migration from the old system of the client to our new system. So this was a system with about, I think, 2 million insurance policies or something. So it was going from an old mainframe to our new super structured relational database. And the project was difficult because we had to migrate lots of not so structured data into a real structured system. And we were in so much of a rush that we didn't have time to automate things properly. So it was a lot of manual labor going on. And these conversion runs would take ages, sometimes take 20, 24 hours. And we had only one weekend to do it when we went live. So it was lots of hard working and lots of pressure. And the team was working days from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and also the weekends. And I noticed that I was close to getting burned out there. So I was lucky enough to recognize this and to kind of hit the stop button and say, this isn't working out. I'm going to be out here if we continue. So what I learned there was try to keep a good balance between like work and life. And what helped me was kind of a little trick that I learned. So I got myself a new watch. It was an imaginable watch. And whenever I would look at this imaginable watch, I could say, it's screw this stuff o'clock time, which basically means that, if you're done for the day, it's always good to take some time off and go home to kind of recharge.
So you're able to recognize when you were effectively done and your mental capacity had finished for the day.
Yeah, and it was a big step for me to recognize this and also to discuss this with management, and they understood it, although they were also in the crunch. But I was like, if I continue doing this, then I'm going to be out of business for a couple of weeks or even months. So we need to do something now.
Yeah. Do you feel that was reflective of the culture that was in place at the time?
No, I think not at all. The culture was relatively relaxed. And people were typically just working from 9 to 5, but we were over our heads in this project, and it really needed to get done. Otherwise, probably our company and also the client would be in trouble.
Right.
So it was a moment, but it was good for me to recognize that it wasn't working out too well.
And can you perhaps share with us your IT career highlight or greatest success?
Yeah, I think a highlight for me was being recognized as a Java champion by the international Java community. So the Java champions are a select group of Java experts and thought leaders. There are only around 250 worldwide. And I was nominated by a group of existing Java champions because of my work for the Dutch Java community and my international speaking career. So it was a nice way of getting like international recognition for all the hard work and time I had put in kind of like evangelizing Java and helping other people progress their careers there.
Yeah, no, that's always great to be recognized. Do you feel as well that receiving those sort of awards opens you up to new opportunities?
Well, a little, but the thing is that most people who kind of recognize, let's say the value of an award like this are people that are already active in the Java community.
Yes.
And typically, if I'm in touch with clients for new projects, some of them know about the program, mostly not. So it's mostly like, if you're active in the community, then you know what it means and you're happy with it. It doesn't really get me like crazy new projects that other people wouldn't get.
Right, sure. But presumably it also enables you to have some sort of kudos in terms of being able to go to conferences and speak and be recognized as an expert. Yeah.
It helps you get in at conferences easier, obviously. And this is mainly the thing with when you're building a career as a speaker. The beginning is hard, but once you've spoken like at a couple of high-profile international conferences, then it becomes easier to get in.
So, Bert Jan, can you maybe tell us what excites you about the future of the industry and careers in IT?
Yeah, what I like about working in IT in the current time is that with the current state of IT and especially the internet and cloud computing, as a developer, when you're fairly broad, so you know something about front-end development, back-end development, maybe a little about app development, maybe a bit about infrastructure, you can be able to build products that can change the world just by yourself. Take, for example, Uber. If you're fairly broad in software development and know a bit about infrastructure and cloud computing, you could build a system like Uber just by yourself. And I find that amazing that, especially cloud computing enables you to build products where you can service millions of users. Obviously, you would be burned out pretty quickly if you're running a company like Uber just by yourself, so you need scale. But in terms of technology and cloud infrastructure, you are able to build products that help millions of people, and that's what I really like about the current state of IT and also the future.
So is that really maybe the flexibility as well as the technology?
Yes, I guess. So one of my problems in IT is that I like everything. So I find everything interesting. I like writing backend code, but also fiddling with Linux servers. So I know a little about a lot of things. And if you're this broad, then it's really easy to use existing services and frameworks to build something from scratch. For example, if you need to build a front end, then you can start up an Angular project and be started pretty quickly. If you want to build a backend, you can take Java and Spring and you're up to speed pretty quickly. If you need to host it somewhere, you can go to AWS or Google Cloud and build a scalable infrastructure there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you look back like 10, 15 years, you would first need money, then order servers, then wait, then screw them in a data center somewhere, and you would need to make the investments up front. Now you can just start with paying €10 a month and scaling when the number of users scale.
Yeah, so as you said, the ability to deliver quickly, scale, all the benefits that have come about in the last maybe sort of 5 to 10 years in terms of cloud in particular. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
I think it started fairly early. We had a Commodore 64 computer at home, and I was experimenting with this when I was maybe 7 or so and kind of learned how to program it a little. And then I really got a feel of using a computer to create stuff and make it do what you want it to do. So I think that's where my first interest in making computers do what I want them to do was sparked. And it was fairly natural for me to go study computer science after secondary school. So I think it started really early.
And what is the best career advice you've ever received?
I think the best advice is to find a job where you have fun. If you're having fun, then success will follow. If you're not having fun and you're working maybe somewhere in a place where you're not enjoying yourself, where you can't develop yourself, then success will be very hard to have. As long as you're enjoying what you do, then all the rest will follow from there. So find something where you can work in a fun place, where you can learn with great people, and then success will come by itself.
Yes, agreed, yes. And on the flip side of that, what is the worst career advice you've ever received?
I think when I first switched from working at a company that was building products internally, when I first switched to consulting, people were telling me, don't do it, you will get boring projects, you will be treated as a resource, and you will have lots of travel time. And I would say that this was completely wrong, although it depends on the consulting company you work for. Typically, larger companies have trouble finding amazing assignments. I was lucky to find a small company that really understands the importance of having awesome projects.
And if you were to begin your IT career again in today's world, what would you do?
I think I would go into consulting earlier than I did in my current career, because you learn a lot faster if you regularly switch between projects. So I tend to work on project for a year, maybe max 2 years, and then go do something completely different. So the more different situations you see, the more different technologies you touch, the more different people you work with, the faster you progress. So I think I've learned about twice as much in, let's say, the 7 years I did consulting than in the 7 years I did before.
Yeah. And of course, you obviously touched on earlier the fact that you were working in the insurance sector.
Yeah.
You presumably had exposure to various different industry sectors as a result of working for a consultancy.
Yeah, and that's what I like about working in technology and especially working in consultancies, that you get to see lots of different companies from the inside.
Yes.
Because once you're familiar with technology, then you can work for lots of different companies. So I've worked for commercial companies, fintech, government, education. So it's nice to see all these companies from the inside and kind of see how they work.
Yeah, exactly. And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
Well, I started a company 2 years ago, so currently my main objective is to make OpenValue the best Java shop in the world.
Yep.
So I see myself as I'm currently working for the 25 people that work at OpenValue. So my job is to help them progress in their careers and to learn and to do great stuff and work on awesome assignments.
Yes, excellent. Good. And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
I think my career really got up to speed once I started with public speaking. So I started sharing stuff at in company sessions, and then at local meetups, and then at conferences, and then at international conferences. And through these speaking engagements, I've met a lot of amazing people at conferences and meetups, and got connected to people that otherwise I wouldn't get into touch with. So I think getting out there and just sharing what I've learned has really helped me progress in terms of learning, but also in terms of meeting interesting people and meeting interesting companies.
And what do you do to keep your own career energized?
I think IT is a very fast-moving landscape, so I try to keep learning. So I try to read a lot of blogs, follow interesting people on Twitter, visit events, just to keep up to speed with all developments that are going on. Because once you stop learning, then you also stop progressing, and I think it also stops the fun in the IT. What I like about stuff can be completely different in 2 years from now, but you do need to invest in keeping up with this.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. And what do you do in your spare time away from technology?
Well, I try to spend as much time as possible with my family, because jobs come and go, but your family stays. And especially since I'm often away in the evening at events or away for a conference abroad, whenever I'm home, I try to spend as much time as possible with my family.
Bert Jan, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Working in IT is at least as much about people as it is about technology. So show interest in others, have empathy,
Yep.
and be likable, be approachable, and get stuff done together.
Yes, agreed. I think it's all about being able to work with people, and particularly with things like DevOps and agile approaches. It's all about how a team comes together and works effectively, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's mostly about wanting to learn all the parts of a project and not just your little world, and wanting to be responsible together with a team to get kick-ass software out there to your end users.
Yes. And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
I spend way too much time on Twitter. So connecting with me on Twitter is a good way. You can find me on @BJ If it's too hard to understand and to type, @OpenValue would direct you to me too on Twitter.
Bert Jan, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you.
As always, my thanks go to my guest on today's show. You'll find a show notes page for today's episode on the IT Career Energizer website, which will be itcareerenergizer.com/e and then the number of today's episode. I also want to thank you for your continued support. It's always great to hear from listeners, particularly when they have suggestions about potential guests or ways to improve the show. And this was one of the reasons for creating the new IT Career Energizer community Facebook group. I'm really excited about taking the podcast forward, and I hope that you'll continue to support and listen to the show as it continues to change and evolve. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.